Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Nobody really likes to pack. We like going places. But let's think today about what if you had to pack up for an emergency and you had to evacuate. And that's not something you want to wait till the last minute. You want to put together some sort of a 72-hour kit, a go bag, a bug out kit, something so that if you had to leave your home, you can grab and go. Because in a lot of emergencies, if you have to evacuate, you don't have time to run around the house and plan out, what do I need to have? Where are those things? And we just have so many other things on our minds. Where are we going? How are we getting there? What are we going to do? So put together a basic 72-hour kit, bug out bag, go bag. Get something. It doesn't have to be even in a special container. You can get something as simple as an empty ammo can and fill that up. Maybe you have an extra shopping bag. You can go ahead and fill up a shopping bag with your gear. Or look through your kids' stuff. Maybe you have an old backpack. The container isn't what's important. The important thing is that you put items together, you pack up, and you're ready if you need to grab and go. What are the important items that you want to put in your bug out bag, your go bag, or your 72-hour kit? Well, think about just basic items. You're going to need something to eat, so make sure that you have just some basic open and eat foods that don't require any preparation, no cooking at all. You can have things like nuts. You can have fruit and yogurt snacks. How about freeze-dried fruit snacks? There are little pouches of meat you can get. You can have granola bars, protein bars. How about even some crackers and meat, or even just a jerky or box of pepperoni. They're like snacking, but they can keep you going. And so in your kit, you want to think about having food that could last for, say, 72 hours or 3 days. Think about things like breakfast, lunch, dinner. What could you have? Have a few items for several days worth so that you could just pick up and eat them if you needed to. The variety is going to be what suits you. These are foods that I like, so that's what's going in mine. The next emergency item we need is water. Now, you know that you need 1 gallon of water per person per day for emergency situations. That is a lot of heavy lifting if you need 3 gallons to take with you on your 72-hour kit. But you need to have water available. Then you may want to have containers that you could also gather water if you needed to. One of the things that I found recently was this portable water container. It's called Vapur, V-A-P-U-R, and it has a nice lid. It's sturdy. It has a carabiner. You could hook it onto your backpack. It even has the gusseted bottom so that when you fill it up, it can stand up. And then it's also convenient because you can fold it up, clip the carabiner around it, and then you have an extra container in your bug out bag, your get home kit, your 72-hour kit, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. You can have an extra water container so you could fill it up if you needed to. But you may run out of water, and in an emergency, you may need a way to purify water. So you can look over things like a life straw, which is something that you can dip into water and purify it as you sip out of it. I also have another one that I got somewhere at some outdoor show. It doesn't have to be a specific brand. It just needs to be something that can work. You also might want to have something like the Aqua Pure, which are water purification tablets that you put these into, say, a gallon of water, you stir it around, you let it sit, and that can purify water that you were able to source, but you may not be sure if it's clean and safe to drink. Having some water purification tablets can give you peace of mind, even if you're just in your local town, because sometimes water goes under boil alert, and we want to make sure that we have some way to purify water if we need to. Think about having lights, something as simple as a flashlight And even I included this little light I got from the Dollar Tree because it can provide a tabletop light. I have a little flashlight in here too, but something like this just takes a few batteries, $1.25. You can light up your room, light up your car, light up your camp spot, wherever you might end up in an emergency. Get a little flashlight and some batteries, but also look at some of these little emergency lights. Maybe you also want to have something like glow sticks. These are great to have with children because you can't set a fire with them. Nothing can be ignited from a glow stick. And there's two parts. There's a little capsule inside. There's some liquid. And when you want to utilize it, you snap it and you break that little capsule inside, and then you shake it, and it will glow for, some of these will glow up to 12 hours. You can buy some inexpensive ones at Dollar Tree. They're not going to have the same amount of light, not going to last as long, but if you need something to comfort your children at night, that might be something that you want to include in your emergency gear. These are great because even they have a hook on them, so say you're in a tent, you can hook it up onto your tent wires or your cords, and then you have that emergency light that can burn all night. Let's think about first aid. Maybe you can go somewhere as simple as the Dollar Tree. You can buy a basic first aid kit and then add things into it. I bought this kit at Dollar Tree recently, and then I added things like a chapstick, liquid bandages, little gloves, and some antibiotic cream. And you can also put in little gadgets and gizmos like nail clippers and scissors that you can buy with, say, a manicure set, and you can put those into your little kit. You might even find some of these little tiny ones, and these are handy too because they're going to have bandages and gauze and things, but they're not going to have the ointments that you want. So what you can do is get a straw, a plastic drinking straw, and then you can fill it with the ointments that you want. Then what you do is you light, say, a match or one of those clicker lighters, and you heat up the side. You clamp it with the pair of pliers. Then you fill it up, you heat up that end, clamp it with the pliers, and you've made some little emergency go ointments and creams and things. But be sure you label them so you know what they are. Then you can easily drop those into even the smallest first aid kit, and you've made it bigger, better, so that you have more gear that you need in an emergency situation. We can't put everything in our bag, but we can get started packing up and getting ready to go in an emergency. Let's think about some tools. Maybe you want a pair of just work gloves. The ones at Dollar Tree aren't very sturdy or very good, but they're better than nothing. But I would advise you to buy a better pair of gloves in case you need to, say, dig a hole, fix the tire on your car. Even if it's just cold, then you'll have something. If you need to gather firewood, you're going to want something to protect your hands. If you hurt your hands, that's a very disadvantage in an emergency situation when you need to be able to take care of business. Let's also think about having an extra pair of glasses. If you require glasses, have an old pair with your emergency gear so that you can still see if you need to. You don't want to be caught off guard. Oh, I should have put this with the water. Some of the little electrolyte drinks, you can add those into water so that then you can make your drinks have a little more nutrition, especially if it's hot or someone isn't feeling well. You can add these into your water. It might even just make it taste better. Something else to go with your food, even in the little emergency can opener. The P58s, P38s, whatever their number is, they're little military type can openers. I'll put a link to a video on how you use these. I've made a video about that because they're handy, they're tiny, but they're effective. And if you are in an emergency and you need to open a can, this might be just the thing that you need. Let's also think about having some kind of a cord or way to charge up your basic electronics. You might want just an extra cord or an external battery so that you could charge up your phone if you needed to, so you still have a way to communicate. Something else to think about is a fire starting kit. You can start with something as simple as a lighter. You might want to get a box of matches, and you can even put together into an Altoids tin or something like that get one of those like hair rubber bands. Those are the best rubber bands. They don't break, and it'll stay holding it together. You can put a little candle, you can put some extra matches, you can have a lighter, even put, look at this little tiny petroleum jelly that I found, and you can even add some cotton balls so that you could start a fire with that if you needed to. And then if you just hook it together with your little hair rubber band, you have that fire starting kit or that little emergency light with your candle all together with your emergency bug out bag, 72-hour kit, your go kit, whatever you want to call it. You'll have that emergency gear. Something I found at the Dollar Tree before, I don't know if they still have it, is the Quick Fire, Quick Survive fire starters. So if you wanted to start a campfire or something like that, you open the container, you sprinkle this around, use one of your matches or lighters, and then you can light this and easily get a fire going. Sometimes that's the hardest thing, is to get a fire started. And so having a little emergency fire starter can really save the day in all kinds of situations. But even if you're just going camping or out to your backyard fire pit, you might want to have some of these so that you can get those things lit easily. Other tools to think about, I have a little sewing kit. It has everything in it that I could need in an emergency. I took a clothespin, because they can be handy, and just wrapped it with some duct tape. So then I have duct tape that can hold things together, plus a clothespin. They come in handy for a lot of different reasons. I also have a simple multi-tool. You can get all different kinds of pocket knives or whatever, but a multi-tool is great because they have so many different blades and functions. There's so many things you can do with them. This is just a small one I have from Cabela's. You can get bigger ones, and any kind of tool that you like that you think would be handy for you. And so that's something you want to have with your emergency gear. You also want to think about staying warm and protecting yourself. Maybe you want an emergency blanket. They're the ones that are like the silver space blanket. You might also want to have an emergency poncho. If it starts raining, you need to keep yourself sheltered and dry. And an emergency poncho can just be the trick that you need. You also consider having some of the hot hands or the hand warmers, especially if you're in a cold environment. I keep these in a plastic bag because if this package gets punctured, what that does is the oxygen activates these. And so if this gets activated when you didn't mean it, then they aren't going to still be good to use. So you can check them and see if they're still soft, they're still good to go. If they get hard, that means they have been compromised. So keep these hand warmers safe. When you want to use them, you tear them open, but keep them protected so that they don't get opened when you didn't want them to, and then they're not useful to you. Have a nice, big, sturdy, the biggest, sturdiest black plastic bag that you can find. You can use this to make a shelter. You can use it to make a poncho. You can use it to collect rainwater. There's so many things you can do with a black plastic trash bag, the sturdiest one you can get. These are when you want to go to the hardware store, get the contractor bags. Don't rely on ones from the Dollar Tree. You want ones, if it's going to be saving your life, you want the best thing. And it's only a few dollars more to get the heavy duty good bags than to get the crummy ones. So go with the best ones when you're shopping for something like the big black plastic bags. I'll put a link to a video I made about all the different ways you can use a black plastic bag in an emergency situation. There's all kinds of ideas. Let's look also at maybe you want to get some kind of cordage. Here's some paracord. This is the 550 paracord. Sometimes you can pick up smaller cords even at Dollar Tree, so don't neglect having some sturdy rope. And the nice thing about paracord is you can wrap it around a tree 3 times. It's not going to slip off. It stays on there. I have hung up tarps over the area like out at Granny Camp with a paracord and just a simple tarp. And they were up through the wind and the rain. They stayed up for a long time in the summertime. So a great thing to have for all kinds of situations is some sturdy paracord. It's worth it to have it when you really want something that's going to work. You can count on it and it'll last. You might want to include some extra just Ziploc bags, different kind of sizes, and I don't know, sometimes I like to include the face masks. We don't know what's happening in the world, and sometimes that's just handy to have, whether you're around sick people, there's a new kind of pandemic, maybe there's smoke in the air. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to include one of these in your emergency kit. Plus, I have a pet, so I have a leash here, so if we need to bug out, I can clip the leash onto my dog Teddy, and I don't need to worry about something happening and him becoming separated from me. I'll have him close by. Then a few comfort items that I like. I'm going to add in some baby wipes. I want to be clean. I also keep these in a Ziploc bag to make sure they don't dry out. You might want to include a portable or like a travel toothbrush, some toothpaste, maybe a hairbrush, chapstick, things that you use that you want. But don't go overboard. We're not going on vacation. This is for emergencies to keep you going should you have to leave your home. I also have a little container, a little bag I got at Dollar Tree. I have an extra key to my house. If your power goes out, can't rely on your electric garage door opener. Do you have a key with your emergency gear? Make sure you have some cash, maybe even an extra credit card that you save for emergencies that's in there if you needed to have it. You also want to have a copy of your contact information, the phone numbers of the people you would want to contact, maybe even their addresses. Put in even like your bank account numbers and things like that. Important information that you would want to know. Your insurance information. So write that down. Have it with your gear. If you take prescription medication, make sure you have a copy of the prescription and maybe even a few days worth of any life-saving emergency medication with your bug out bag. You can see it's not that hard to pack up a few things and be ready in advance of something tragic that could happen. Things happen to all of us. Look at all those big fires they just had in California. You don't think those people wish that they had something together they could grab and go? And then that will have you have more peace of mind, which helps you have a better day, or no matter what it brings and what we're going to face. This isn't an exhaustive list of things to have. This is just a beginning. Leave it in the comments. What other things would you want to have in your 72-hour kit, your bug out bag, your go bag? What are the most important things that you want? And leave it in the list so we make sure we don't forget anything either. I hope you'll like my video, share it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.